What if the most powerful leadership role we'll ever have is parenting?
Welcome back to Big Little Lessons. I'm Kristine.
And I'm Jenny. And today we're talking about parenting as leadership, modeling regulation, building emotionally safe homes, and protecting children's mental health in a fast-changing world.
So important. And we could not think of a better guest to guide this conversation. We're so happy to welcome Nikki DeLoach, parent, advocate, parent of two beautiful boys that I both taught, advocate and co-host of Mind What Matters podcast, actor, writer, producer, and lifelong learner.
Oh, welcome, Nikki.
I could cry. Yes. Like literally two of the best teachers. Aww. I mean, Jenny, my kids didn't even have you. And the day in that gym, I could cry thinking about it. Like the day in that gym, you know, when you were leaving the school and the whole, and I mean, I don't think there was a dry eye in that gym. And talk about leadership, right?
Oh, you're so kind.
No, I'm honest.
Keep it going.
But like the standing ovation and I'm crying and my kids didn't even have you, but it's just the imprint that you left on thousands of lives of kids and how important that is and how much so many people take that for granted. Yes. So this is really an honor to be able to even sit here with the two of you.
I know. We've been struggling to even get started because we have so much to talk about.
So much.
So thank you so much.
Of course.
So the very first thing we always ask our guest is, what's your earliest school memory?
Oh, well.
Oh, gosh.
I'll start with the story that my mom told me when I was three or 4 years old. And I was in preschool, but she rushed me into the doctor and she said, you have to fix her. Something's broken. Something's not right. You have to fix her. The doctor took me away for a couple hours and came back in and was like, well, nothing's wrong with her. She is incredibly bright and precocious and curious, and she's got the physical capability of a 12-year-old boy, and if you don't get up 2 hours before her, she's going to eat your lunch every day for the rest of your life. And so if you can imagine that little girl in a preschool.
I can actually see little Nikki right now because also so much of that energy is your children, you know?
Oh, it is my voice.
So much.
I see so much of that little energy in Bennett. And then my mom also would make fun of me and saying that whenever and obviously I come from a very conservative family in the South, and I was very much a black sheep and, you know, not conservative. And she would be like, you've been a liberal your entire life, because in preschool, and this is my first memory, there were some kids that didn't have crayons. And so I was coming home and being like, oops, I lost my crayons. Telling my grandmother, like, we got to go buy some new crayons. And I was getting the crayons to give them to the kids at school that didn't have crayons. And so then my grandmother was like, I don't understand what's happening to all of her crayons. And then the teacher was like, oh, she's giving them to all the kids that don't have the crayons.
Oh,
and I was
make
like,
me cry.
That's no, and I don't say that as I think that is the person that I've been my whole life.
Yes.
It's like, if you don't have crayons, I'm going to figure out a way. I don't need to know you. I just need you to have crayons.
It's interesting that you're sharing that story, because I think you lead with your heart.
Yes.
I mean, and all the activities that you do, your heart is first. And how can I help others?
And you do a lot.
Strong back, soft heart. I always say strong back, soft heart.
I think I have a good core. Okay, good.
So those early experiences, I mean, I know that shapes who you are today, and like in parenting and your family. Can you talk a little bit about how those years, how they show up now today?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things coming from a really small town in South Georgia is community parenting in a lot of ways. Like there was never not eyes on me. I was raised by an entire community of teachers. They all came to my wedding. Aww. You know, my kindergarten teacher, my preschool teacher, who was who I actually, when I was just home, there's like a little place called Mobley's in our hometown. And I was just home for a couple of days last year to like just touch base with my grandmother who's getting older. And my preschool teachers come in and so everybody knows everyone. You're not getting away with anything, and that community-based parenting, that community, like I grew up, and I think that is something that I really cherish. Even in LA, whenever I was in my early 20s, like trying to find community out here, that was really hard. It made a lot of the years out here really hard until I did find that community. And I co-run a women's political organization where whether it's community-based work, like when the fires came, what can we do? How can we help? Let's jump in. And I say political, but it's really a community organization of like, where's the help? Where's the need? How can we get involved? Children's Hospital Los Angeles, that is our community children's hospital. How do we keep those doors open? How do we support these kids who don't have insurance, whose families can't afford life-saving medical care? Caregiving organization, Mind What Matters. Like that is, how do we support our community of caregivers? So I think growing up in a very, very small town where everybody knew everyone, it has shaped the way that I live my life in terms of really putting a value and importance on building community wherever you are and taking care of that community. Yeah.
But it starts with, well, what can we do
as
a community member?
Listen, we're in a time right now where our institutions and our systems are failing us across the board. But what I tell people is like, systems are as small as your family system or your school or your church and as big as the government, right? Everything is a system. Everything is an institution, whether there's 4 people that belong to it or 1 million people that belong to it. And so we cannot look at our big systems and institutions and point the finger and do all of that if we're not taking care and cleaning up our own backyard. Are your kids healthy?
Yes.
Are they mentally, physically, emotionally safe? Are we doing what we can do in our own family to be leaders and to teach our kids? Are we doing that in our schools? Are we holding, because we're all human beings, we're going to make mistakes. It's how we repair those things that matter most. So even in our school systems, going and saying, I'm really not happy with the way that we are handling this, and I think we need to take a look at it. And not being afraid to use our voices to do so, because we all have a responsibility. And I think the thing that I have seen fall away the most is people saying, well, it doesn't impact my kids. All the children are ours.
Yes, they are. Amen.
All of them are ours. Every single, and who knows that more than anybody? Teachers. And also my mom was an educator.
Oh, she was.
So I grew up with I grew up watching her teach. She was an incredible teacher.
What did she teach?
So she was an English teacher, but she taught many grades before she landed in, I actually had her, which they wouldn't allow today, but this was back in the day. I actually had her in 7th and 8th grade. She was a remarkable teacher. Everything I know about writing and grammar started in that classroom. And then she went on from being a teacher to a principal to a superintendent of a school system and getting awards.
Oh my gosh.
No, she's incredible. And then my sister followed in her path. My sister, a couple years back stepped away to just raise her kids. But I grew up in a house where there was always students. There were always people. She was teaching SATs. She was teaching The Great Gatsby. At a very, very young age, had a lot of respect for what teachers do because I saw my mom do it every single day.
How was it? You're in the throes of middle school with your mom as your teacher. How did you separate her being mom to being your teacher?
She drew a hard line in the sand, but I'm grateful in a lot of ways for it because, she would not help me with a single thing.
Nice.
Not a single thing. And she did because she was like, I can't help you. I am your teacher. And my mother is a rule follower to the T. And I was a very driven kid. Like I've never made a B. And if math was not easy, but I worked my butt off. Right. And her class was hard. But I had to figure it out. She's like, I'm not helping you. So I'd have to figure it out. I remember one day I walked into her classroom and she goes, Nikki, spit out that gum. She didn't even look at me. She was literally at the board writing, but she could smell the big red that I had in my mouth when I walked into the classroom. So there was no getting away with anything. But man, I learned so much in her class. Yeah.
I applaud you both because my mom, I come from a long line of educators as well. And my mom was substituting when I was in middle school. And she substituted. One day I was in her class. I was just mortified. I was just, because she was very strict.
Yeah.
And I was so concerned that people would not like me because they didn't like my mom as a substitute.
Right.
And she was a beloved middle school substitute teacher. But I was just mortified the whole day. So,
No, I always wondered what that would be like because even, when my boys were younger and there would be a project and I would go into the classroom to help, it would be like instant head to head, like this does not work.
Yeah.
I think it would be that way for my boys too. Like I know even with Hudson, it's changed a little bit now where he will be like, hey mom, can you take a look at this? And in the beginning I was like, honey, I'm a full-time writer. I get paid to do this. Like, can I just please help you with the grammar and God bless him. He wanted to do it on his own, but then now he'll be like, mom, can you just like scan this to see if I'm grammatically correct or if I,
Yay for Hudson.
Hudson, I know, but it is hard. And in that balance, when you can help them, but they don't want your help and that's so hard as a parent. And you have to go, okay, all right, well, I'm going to step away because I'm not going to force myself on you.
Ask you though, because and then he trusts you with that. And
it's all about building trust.
Yes.
And I am learning because after going through what we went through with Bennett, obviously my hypervigilant brain was always to just protect. And what I'm trying to learn and I work on every single day is if I trust them, they're going to trust themselves.
Yeah.
And
this
really,
will be so important as they get older and Hudson's at the perfect age for them to really understand that you do trust them because they will see it and it will be such an important part of your relationship going forward.
Yes.
As they approach teenage years especially.
There's no workbook for any of this.
No.
It's like
No, there
so
isn't.
hard. You're just figuring it out. And like,
Always. That's why we talk to each other.
I'm so happy that you built this podcast because it's like, we need help. I've never done this before. I've never had a 12-year-old before.
No. And I would imagine I'm not going to, but if I started a new family today,
it's a totally different.
I'm out of my league with this. So
Yeah.
that's why it's so
Yeah.
important.
It's so
And
good.
today is so important because, to your point, building a community, having some leadership really begins with the home base.
It does.
So let's dive into that.
Yeah,
a
we
little
do.
bit.
We want to dive into like what families are facing. But you are involved in such incredibly meaningful work. Can you share a little bit about like the work you do with Children's Hospital, serving on the board, and also your podcast?
Oh, yeah. So Children's Hospital Los Angeles, it is the 4th top specialty hospital in the world, one of the top children's hospitals here in the country and the United States. It's a safety net hospital, so we turn no child away, regardless of health insurance or the family's financial situation. And I learned about Children's Hospital in the hardest of ways. My youngest, Bennett, when I was 5 months pregnant with him, I went in to get that, the 4D where you get to see the hands and the this and the that. And she was spending a really long time on the heart when she was, doing the fetal echocardiogram. And I knew instantly something was wrong. I didn't know that I had no idea it would be something that we were up against. So he ended up having 4 congenital heart defects and would need immediate surgical intervention to keep him alive after birth. Oh. So he's 6 pounds. At 5 days old, he had his first open heart surgery. And we were there for a month, and I didn't leave the hospital except for to go home to see my oldest Hudson and then go right back to the hospital. You'd pace in that CT ICU just to get up and move your body. And I would see these little babies, and during the day, their parents wouldn't be there, but at night they would come and they would sleep. And I remember asking a nurse, like, where are they going during the day? I couldn't imagine leaving my child. And obviously that was a mindset of privilege.
Yeah.
And then she said, well, a lot of these families that come here, they're working 3 and 4 jobs between the parents. And, they can't take time away to come and be with their child for weeks and weeks at a time, or they'll lose their job. Right. And I said to her, well, how can they afford this? I know what this is costing, to save my son's life. And she said, well, this is a safety net hospital. And, the board figures out how to raise the money to make sure that these kids can, and that right there, I was like, okay, whatever that is,
Yes.
I want to be involved with that for the rest of my life.
Oh,
And so in 2018, they saved Bennett's life. He went on to have 2 more heart surgeries there. He's also in like, their neuro division, their pulmonology division, their hematology division. They're like, because when you have that much surgical intervention, there's going to be other areas of a
Yes.
child's body and mind that it's going to
Yeah,
impact.
one surgery is going to affect another part
Correct.
of it. 'Cause their heart is what, the size of a walnut?
It's the size of a walnut
Yeah.
when they're born like that. Yeah. And
5 days old.
5 days
That just takes your
old.
breath away.
Oh, it was a nightmare. It was a nightmare, really and truly. Like, I think about that time in our lives sometimes, and I'm like, how did we do that? I don't know how we did that, but we did it because every single day I was like, they don't just save the child's life, they are carrying that family. Like,
they
this
are.
hospital is the most special place in the world, which is why it's like, to my last breath, I will, do everything I can to keep the doors open. And so 2018, I joined the board, and then I took over as president of the board for 3
Wow.
years.
Wow, that's incredible.
And then last year was my 3rd year. And then they moved me to the co-chair of our fundraising committee. And so that's what I've been doing now.
Do you like being on the fundraising committee?
So the last board meeting, which was this past week, I had to do the presentation on, we're in the midst of a big fundraising campaign to literally keep the doors open. And it was, the whole board. We have 180 something members. And I had to get up there and talk about one of the 3 things they tell you not to talk about, which is religion, politics, and money.
Okay.
And I started by saying, well, I grew up at a dinner table where they said never talk about religion, politics, and money. But I was constantly in trouble as a kid because that's all I talked about was religion, politics, and money. So I'm kind of the perfect person for this. I'm never uncomfortable.
What a good way to open.
And so we're going to talk about money, because I just believe that oftentimes, unless you're directly impacted by something, you don't understand. You kind of go about your life.
Yes.
And you're not really thinking about the fact that there are children fighting for theirs in a hospital, or, Mind What Matters. It's a caregiving organization where we give financial grants to caregivers of loved ones that have neurodegenerative illnesses. So ALS, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, dementia. And I, started in the work of dementia and Alzheimer's when my grandfather got it. He had vascular dementia. And then my dad, at such a young age, was diagnosed with Pick's disease, a rare and aggressive form of dementia. And he was diagnosed the same week I was pregnant with Bennett, and Bennett was diagnosed. So I knew I was going to lose my dad.
Wow.
The question was, how much time do we have? And I also didn't know if I was going to lose my son. And so my life can be marked by that week of everything that came before, everything that
came after.
And so I work a lot to raise money for research and innovation in Alzheimer's and dementia. But for Mind What Matters, it's specifically for caregivers to give financial grants, to literally put money in their pockets, or bring in somebody to help take care of their loved one. We are in a caregiving crisis.
We are in a crisis.
Yeah.
It's almost like it seems the 2 extremes. It's for the littlest
Exactly.
people in our
And the
lives
eldest.
the
yeah.
most vulnerable. And I
most
think if
vulnerable.
there's like one thing that I care about the most, and this goes back to learning about Jesus when I was 3 and 4 years old, and being like, no, I actually paid attention in Bible study. And this is what Jesus did. He went towards the most vulnerable. This is what he preached every single day. And I took that to heart.
Yes.
And so those are the most vulnerable, right? Our children, our elderly, our veterans.
Yes.
We really have to do better as a country of waking up every day and being like, where's the need? And leading with that service-driven heart, because I'm going to tell you, nobody is getting out of this life thing without being impacted by either something with your children or something with your mom or your dad or your husband. Nobody's getting out of this without it.
And that's real.
Thank you for doing this Mind Over Matter, because there's so many things you just get overwhelmed and you don't know where to start. And
Yeah.
sometimes that things just approach, all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, this loved one really needs some assistance, or maybe yourself. You're going to need help. So thank you so much for doing that.
Of
And
course.
it's such an important podcast.
It's really important. And the podcast itself is for caregivers, right? But it also is like educating women on, their own health and taking care of themselves, because we're all caregivers, even if we aren't currently taking care of someone with a neurodegenerative illnesses.
Yes.
We, as parents, we're caregivers.
Yeah, there's
There's
lots of levels.
teachers are caregivers. You caregive all day long for children. And so it's important conversations. And also, how are we giving care to ourselves? Women, I had this incredible mentor who told me women become women when we learn how to put our needs before others, and men become men when they learn how to put somebody else's needs above theirs. And it stuck with me.
That's going to stick with me.
Because you understand how to put somebody else's needs before yours. And then when I see a woman step into her liberation and in her strength, she's going, no, I'm not going to do that because I need to get sleep. No, I'm not going to do that because I need to move my body today. And they're really prioritizing their health and making sure they go to the doctor.
I've seen a shift in the last 10 years where I see dads and grandparents, for that matter, they are stepping up so much. And I've seen much more of an equal footing in terms of childcare, cooking, running errands, doing sports coaching, all that stuff. I've seen this. It's so wonderful to see dads on campus and have them be involved with
amazing. It's amazing. Yesterday was the opening day for my kids' baseball league that they're in, recreational league, and almost every single person out there coaching is a dad, and he volunteers his time. And my dad was my coach at our recreation league, and those memories I have forever. And I lost my dad in 2021. His battle with Pick's disease. And thank you. And I think one thing, every city has its problems and every state has its challenges. But one thing I think I do get to witness a lot in Los Angeles is dads being equal partners in parenting with the moms.
Yes.
I grew up in the Deep South, very patriarchal. My dad, he got us to school in the morning. He made dinners at night. He coached my basketball team. He took me to my voice lessons. And so I grew up with women are bosses. Yeah. And dads also are doing the caregiving at home. So you can also imagine my little girl who grew up watching Designing Women and Golden Girls and Mary Tyler Moore Show, and then having my mom going out being such a baddie.
It's such a baddie.
And my dad also working but caregiving. Yeah. I was like, well, this is how the world is. I was like, oh no, this is not how the world is.
And in the South, which
in
is a whole other layer of
it's true.
So interesting.
So the modeling that I had of what it looked like to run a family was very, very different. I'm so grateful for it. So with my husband, I was like, oh no, no, you're just not going to go to the office and disappear. We're not going to be doing that. No.
I like that. And then you're doing him a favor as well. He's looking at it yes, I need to be there.
Because I have two boys. Yes. They are looking at you as much as I can love them and lead this family. There's the other leadership position, and that's called dad.
Yes.
So how are you modeling masculinity for my boys? Because they're not looking to me for masculinity. Yeah. They're looking at you for masculinity. Yes. And how are you modeling that? And then when you fall short, how are you repairing that with our boys? Yes. These are tough fights. It was not easy, because his mother quit her job to raise her kids. The dad went to the office. He had a very specific view.
He didn't have the same modeling that you have.
No.
Most people don't. We don't.
And that's what I think is nice, is that you're also building that relationship with the boys too. And
correct.
It starts when they're little. It doesn't start when they're, well into adulthood. So not that you can't repair if there has been fracture, but to your point, you're building a great, strong foundation.
Yes. And then I leave town as an actor. Most of my work is outside of LA. And when I leave, you have to step up and you have to be the one doing breakfast and getting them to school. And it has to be your way, but you also have to be mindful that it's not your dad's way.
Okay. Yeah, that's right.
How's he doing?
Yeah.
COVID was actually, I think, the biggest. That was a game changer for us, because I remember our family therapist, we were on a Zoom And because I was like, this isn't going to work for me. Like, I am not going to do the children and also work and be on deadline. And you were just in an office all day. Like, I need a partner here. And so we got on with the therapist, and our therapist said, okay, so we're going to do an exercise. Nikki, you're going to write down every single thing you do in a day, in a week. You're going to write it down. Ryan, you're going to write down everything you do for the family, little, big, on a piece of paper. And my husband's was like 10 things, and mine was front and back. Front and back.
Yeah.
And John goes, okay, so here's what we're going to start doing. You're going to look at Nikki's list, and you're going to take 5 things off her list.
Nice.
And then in 6 months, you're going to take 5 more things off her list. And I will say, like, now, I mean, we're 50-50 parenting.
What a great family tool for anyone to start.
Because it's so concrete. Also, it's not just a conversation.
Yeah.
It's like, this is the plan, and this is what we're going to do, and this is how we're going to do it.
Yes. It was
amazing.
just 5 things. And once you get used to those 5 things in 6 months, you're going to grab 5 more things. And so all those decisions were on me. Holding that ticker every day was on me. But like, I will say it's 50-50 now. And he has agency, and he has opinions, and he has thoughts, and our boys see it. And now when I leave town, they're like, Dad's doing a really good job. Aww. And they have a different relationship with my husband because he has been asked to step up. I want them to want to ride with their father. They're going to become teenagers, and they're going to need to go to their father and feel comfortable enough doing that. This is the long game.
Yeah. And you're also really doing a good job with your marriage, because as the boys become teenagers, it becomes a whole new ball game of like, oh my gosh, this is uncharted territory.
And being on the same team.
And having that kind of conversation will be really vital for those glorious teenage years.
Gosh. I'm just going to be calling you guys a lot.
Oh, it's all done.
No, I mean, I really believe, and I've said this to parents too, like, these are the years that matter. These are the most important years. And someone actually said that to me, but they said, you know, the work that you do as a parent until your kids are 10 and 12 years old is so critical in what it will look like when they're 14, 15, 16, 17. And it was so true, because there was a lot of bumps, and we had so much trust and such good communication and such a good foundation that it helped.
It helps so much. I mean, the other day Hudson repeated back something that I have been consistently saying. We have these family rules, right? And one of them is, for me and for my husband and I, it's do not ask our children to do anything that we are not willing to do ourselves, or that we are not currently doing ourselves. As small as making their bed, right? If you're throwing pillows on the bed and you're not making the bed, don't ask the boys to make their bed. Like, if you're not modeling it, don't ask them to do it. Nice. Unless you're modeling it. Yes. And so that's number 1. And number 2, repair.
What do you mean by repair?
So what I mean is, even the other day, I heard Hudson repeat it because there was like a moment where he had made a mistake and he was kind of being hard on himself about it. And Bennett forgets it and just like moves on. But Hudson, like, really he feels it. And I said, buddy, we are human beings. He goes, I know. And human beings make mistakes, and we're always going to make mistakes. It's how we repair the mistakes that matter. And I was like, exactly. Finally, that has gotten into your psyche enough to where when you make a mistake, you understand how we handle those things. Right. And that, when he becomes a parent, that will sit in, it's just the consistency of how I've been using that language and then modeling it for my boys. When I make a mistake, get down on their eye level. Mommy, she lost it. And that is not on you. Yeah. That is on me. I'm an adult.
Taking responsibility.
I know better. And I should have taken a time out, collected myself, and come back to you. And I put that on you. I projected that on you. And that is not okay. You were a child. You did nothing wrong. Aww. You're a good kid.
Right.
And you see them like,
oh yeah,
take a break.
Yeah, because they could say I did something wrong. They're not.
Well, but I'm thinking about both of your boys when they were little, and this has been going on for a long time, because they had a lot of energy, and when especially Bennett, he would always come to me and say, I'm so sorry, Miss Nunziata. I love you so much.
Yeah.
No, and that goes a long way, because not most 5-year-olds don't do that. They just, they don't.
They'll come up, they'll give you a hug.
Yeah.
And but they don't always have the words
know what to say.
Express themselves.
Yeah. But if you start so little, they know. Yeah. 75% of their wiring is in place by 3 years old before they even can recall memories later. From the time they're born, how your language, your model, like all of it matters. And it doesn't mean that it can't be, those neurotransmitters can't be redirected and can't, of course they can. The brain is so malleable, but we have to be so mindful of it because again, I think we look for short-term solutions when we have to be looking for long-term solutions.
Yeah, with all your work as a parent and advocacy in the being on the boards and your podcast, what do you think are the parents' biggest challenges today?
So, I moderated a panel for our hospital. We have a behavioral health institute, which is, oh my goodness, this was something that I, as a child who went through abuse. Thank you. I would have, given anything to have access to a place like this as a child, to have the help that our doctors and nurses in the Behavioral Health Institute can provide for children, not just in Los Angeles, but all over the country. People fly their children in for care. We service all 50 states and 90 countries.
Really?
Around the world.
Children's Hospital?
Yeah. Around the world, 90 countries around the world, all 50 states. And so we are in such a lack with behavioral health, mental health services for children. And it's that thing of we say, children are the future and children are this, but how are we actually investing in them? Where are we putting really doing what we need to do to build a future that is going to be a healthier, happier, safe world for them? And this is a place that they are just doing the work every single day. And listening to the statistics of, the kids, the millions and millions of kids in our country who are struggling with mental health issues and the lack of access to service for that. And then also parents who experience shame around these things. And so kids don't get the help they need and the intervention they need because for some reason, we have been, programmed to believe that if it's cancer or if it's heart, absolutely go to the doctor, get it fixed. But if it's a behavioral health institute or if it's a behavioral or mental or emotional, somehow it's a reflection of your parenting.
It can be reflection, and also it's kind of, they'll outgrow it. And I think that's the thing that we're all learning rapidly is no.
They won't. And so sitting with these doctors, they were so clear. One of the biggest threats to our children right now are honestly the adults not doing the right thing, not doing the hard thing.
And what can we do better?
One of the things is we just check out. It's not our kid, not our problem. We check out because there's such a political divide. And I say all the time, children are not political. Right?
Pawns.
They are pawns. Yeah, exactly. They are being used as pawns instead of us as adults saying, I don't care if you're a Democrat or a Republican. What can we do to make the world a safer, better place for our children? Yes. Let's come together and sit at a table and figure this out, because the truth of the matter is we need all opinions and we need all thought leaders at the table figuring these things out. And we don't need just a one-side solution.
Yes, we all need to bridge that division, find a way to collaborate.
And since the beginning of time, this has been true, that the richest and most powerful people will always keep everybody underneath them fighting so that they can exploit. And we have to wake up to this and understand that we have to protect working families, we have to protect our children, and we have to do the hard work and be honest about it. And that starts with honestly, stop being asleep behind the wheel and wake up and do the hard work and speak up, and it starts in your community.
Yes.
Right? So that's one of the things. The other things is screens and technology.
We want to talk about
that is a big one. I mean, we spent so much time at a panel with these doctors talking specifically about screens, and they're in our schools. Of how are you handling screens? And back on that, are they doing handwriting? Because the research is out.
Yes, it is.
The children aren't getting smarter. And
the handwriting actually
the
synapses to your brain and you retain information more.
And can I tell you this? They also have now proven that one of the things that helps you to not get dementia, one of the things you could do every single day, handwriting.
No.
Yes.
Wow.
So The link
Bring
between
out those journals.
the link between pediatrics and children
Yes.
and it's all starting to come full circle. So can they handwrite notes and then use technology in some other way? Can we course correct a little bit on all of this tech stuff? For my kids, I know they think that I am like militant about the screen situation because they'll be like, well, my friend gets to do it on Tuesday afternoon after school. And I'm like, I don't care. They're not my kid. You're my kid.
Yes.
And you're not getting on a screen in a school week.
Right. So what is your screen rules?
Rules are, first of all, they have to earn it.
Ooh. I like that.
This is a privilege. This is not something that's just given to you. It is a privilege for you to be able to game with your friends. And so they have to earn it by having, they don't have to make straight A's, but they have to do their best at school that week and work really hard and try their best. And they need to do their chores, which means having the room clean. So like this morning, before they got a chance to get on their screens with their friends, and they get 1 hour on Saturday, 1 hour on Sunday.
So time limits.
Only
weekends.
Oh, yes. And then on Fridays after school, if they have time, I'll give them a little time on Fridays after school, but they only get an hour. And before they were able to get on the screens, they had to put the dishes away, put the dirty dishes in the sink. They had to clean the rooms. They had to, there was a whole list of chores that they had to do before they were able to put their hands on those tablets. They do not get to take them in their rooms by themselves. Mm-hmm. If you're going to be on that tablet, number one, you need to be doing it with friends.
Okay.
You're not going to game alone. You do it with friends, and you doing it in my presence. Nice. So in the living room, right. Okay. I need to hear and see what you were doing. And so I think we often just give it to them as a tool to babysit. And I get it. There are times when I just I need an hour. And also, you said something earlier. This moment in time is so short.
So short.
One day they're going to be out of my house and I'm going to have all the hours that I need. And they're going to be in, whatever they're doing in the world. Yeah. And my job right now is to make sure that they're prepared for that.
Yeah. You're building that memory. When my girls were little, I did very similar things to you, and they were not happy with me at all.
No.
But they'll say, you know what, was the best thing you did,
right.
because they love to read. Mm-hmm. They love to be with their friends. Yep. Of course, they love their media.
Of course.
But Jenny and I have,
but they have limits.
We have strong feelings about, about technology with little ones, and also the way it impacts their attention and the way they connect to people and their emotional regulation, right?
Yeah.
I mean, huge.
They're doing MRI scans and seeing that generation that was exposed to phones and cell phones and technology and iPads and all of that, their brains are literally wired differently.
Right.
Right? And it's because of technology. So we have to be so mindful of this. My child's not getting a phone. Hudson's like, all my friends have phones, and my 13th birthday is coming up. and he's like, my 13th birthday is coming up. And I'm like, sorry, bro, you're not getting a smartphone. I'll get you a flip phone, but you're not getting a smartphone.
I think that's really.
The day I put that,
and
the day I put that thing in your hand is the day that you're looking down at that phone and you are not looking up at me. And I am going to elongate that as long as I can, and you're going to hate me for it. And guess what? One day you will thank me.
He will thank you.
He will
thank you.
I have to ask, though, how do you manage going to dinners and restaurants or traveling? Do you have other suggestions for that?
Oh, that's a great question.
Yeah, right?
Because Rummy Cube, card games. We bring card games. We have a trivia game. There's a great company called Tales, Tales, and they have all these games. They have them for kids, for teens, for family, where you pull out a card and it's questions. And it's also a way for you to learn about your kids and for them to learn about you, and for the family, all different kinds of questions. And then we have a trivia game that we bring, and then we have Rummy Cube. So at night, Kristine's son Shane helps us with the kids all the time. And last night I had a dinner and I came home, and Shane knows the deal. That Rummy Cube game was out.
Oh, nice.
So they ate dinner. They played Rummy Cube. Right. They didn't watch TV as they were eating dinner. We have to connect.
I wanted to ask you also about TV. Are they allowed to watch TV?
Yeah, YouTube. They have to watch long form.
Right.
So they have to watch a TV show or a movie.
Right.
So it's not just little snippets and little reels and all those.
But not while they're eating, not while there's time to connect. Yeah.
Not when there's time to connect. And even if I'm busy in the kitchen and they're eating, asking them questions,
Yeah.
like, guys, what are you excited about for today? What are you looking forward to? Hudson, how do you feel about your test? That kind of stuff. And believe me, they're itchy and they're they're falling out of their chair and they're getting up. And I'm like, fine, get up and eat and move around the kitchen. I don't care as long as we don't have a screen on. Yeah.
Let's talk about parenting as modeling. So you mentioned repairing, which I think is so key. What have you found to be helpful for parents to stay grounded when the emotions run high?
Yeah.
I mean, I'll speak about my experience, and then this is also what I've witnessed, and which is we have to do the work on ourselves.
Okay, tell us a little bit.
And
about
what that looks like is, I mean, I've been in therapy because when you experience abuse as a child, right? I had disordered eating starting from the time I was 10 years old. I went through the gamut of wanting to escape, suicidal ideations, trying my best to end my life.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay, but I went through the whole gamut. The beauty of that is that I got in recovery at a really young age and started really having to do the work on myself, because nobody's going to come save you. You have to save yourself. And so the gift of going through that as a child is being very highly aware of recovery programs like ACA, Adult Children of Alcoholics and Dysfunctional Families. That's literally free. And you can go and be
Is
a
that
part
like
of
Al-Anon?
it. It is.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And you can go and be a part of a group of people that are, I don't know anybody that didn't come from some sort of family dysfunction.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm sure my boys are going to, as hard as I'm working, they're going to be like, my family was crazy.
I say that all the time.
Yeah, of course. And
I already apologize. I'm like, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, you're going to be in therapy for something I did. I guaranteed. If you can afford therapy, get therapy. But there's so many tools. Even now, we're in a luxury of a time because there's so many books, there's so many tools, there's so many people on the internet or on Instagram actually that are really like helping to teach us how do we regulate our own nervous systems. Because I'm looking at parents and they're like, in this day and age especially, they are freaked out and their nervous systems are all over the place. And before we begin to even deal with our children's nervous system, I am so highly attuned to how am I calm? Is my nervous system regulated? If not, what do I need to do? And I'll say to my kids, you guys, I need to go regulate my nervous system. I'm going to pop in the gym for 30 minutes and I'm just going to move my body. And I use the language.
Yeah.
I like that. Say it again, because that's a good one.
I'll say my nervous system is not in a good place right now, and I need to go regulate it. I'm going to go take a walk. I'm going to go in the gym for 30 minutes. I'm just going to move my body. I just need some time to regulate my nervous system, and I will be back. And I use that specific language so that they understand when they're adults and one day they're parents, or even in college, when they're feeling anxiety. They don't get freaked out by the bad stuff or quote unquote bad stuff.
Well, you're using the same kind of modeling that you're using when you're talking about repair. It's the same like technique or strategy that you're using in your parenting. And it's so, when you were talking, I was thinking we had a great conversation with an occupational therapist and she was talking a lot about this in specifics. And I said, it's so interesting because I never thought of myself as dysregulated. I only thought of children. I mean, how ignorant as dysregulated. But when that question was put upon me by my own therapist, I thought, wow, like who regulates you? How do you regulate yourself? It's so important.
And recognizing when you're dysregulated.
Yes.
And that takes work. Takes work because
it takes self-awareness.
Reggie, I just sold my car online.
Let's go, Grandpa. Wait, you did?
Yep, on Carvana. Just put in the license plate, answered a few questions, got an offer in minutes. Easier than setting up that new digital picture frame.
You don't say.
Yeah, they're even picking it up tomorrow. Talk about fast.
Wow, way to go. So, about that picture frame.
Forget about it. Until Carvana makes one, I'm not interested.
Car selling made easy. On
Carvana.
Pickup fees may apply.
You know that something's not right, but you don't, once you name it and like put it where it needs to be, it's a game changer.
And I think we're all kind of just like, everybody's moving about their lives and they've got work and this and this. And so much of the time they're busying themselves on purpose. So we don't have to feel the feelings that we're feeling. One of the things that I do, or I learned in terms of regulation is like, there's no bad emotions.
Oh, yes. I think
There's
so
no
often
bad
we
emotions.
want our kids to be quote unquote happy all the time,
Right.
feeling good about themselves, but that's not being fully
love
human.
It's not. Being fully human, becoming a whole person, doesn't mean you're going to get everything right.
No.
You're never going to get everything right. Like, we're never going to get everything right. There's got to be a deep humility that needs to set in of like, we don't have all the answers. We don't know all the things, So once you can name that, well, I don't know that I have the answer for this. I don't need to pretend that I do. There's other people that maybe have the answer. Let me do some homework. Let me learn. Let me figure it out. And also, there's no bad emotion. Shame, regret, guilt, sadness, anger, rage. All of these emotions are important. God gave them to us to educate us, to inform us of what is going on in our body.
Yes.
And last night I was having a dinner with friends, and one friend was expressing deep guilt and regret she was having over a situation. And another friend went to rescue her, as so many good friends do, of like, no, you're not, you didn't do it. And I said, whoa. Let's not interrupt. Let's not take that away from her. She's experiencing regret and guilt, and that's okay, because those are very important emotions. I was like, what is that guilt and regret telling you? And she's like, it's telling me that I'm not going to make that mistake again.
Yeah.
And I was like, see, that's the lesson.
That's the
We
lesson.
miss the lesson
Yeah.
because we're so busy trying to get rid of the bad feelings. And it's like, no, shame is important, not the spiral of shame.
Right.
But when you interrupt that moment of shame because you did something that was out of character,
Yes.
or that you knew was wrong, when you interrupt that moment of shame and go, oof, I know that was not the right thing to do. How do I repair? How do I take accountability?
Right.
And how do I make sure I don't make that mistake again?
Sometimes you just have to sit in it.
Oof.
Whether it's grief.
Just sit.
I'm just going to take a moment to really feel that emotion.
Yeah.
But I love what you said is then what do I learn from it? What's my learning
Yeah, what's the
opportunity?
lesson?
And then what do I need to repair?
I have to tell you also that the modeling that for children is so important, because we see so many children whose parents fix it for them and they don't sit in it and they don't know how to have these feelings, and it doesn't help them grow.
No.
It's a lesson that has to start. That's
Yes.
going to be my big little lesson.
Yeah, it is. It starts
Yeah.
with us,
Yeah.
though. It starts with us not trying to busy ourselves when we have a bad feeling so we don't have to feel it. Or if we're in conflict with someone, whether it's a family member or our husband or, a community, whatever, somebody at work, a peer, it's like sitting with that for a minute and being like, okay, how do I resolve this? How would I want my child to watch me resolve this? And so if we can learn to sit with those feelings, and what is that big little lesson for us inside of it, and then we can actually appropriately teach our children how to do that, because we are modeling it ourselves. My kids have seen me get mad and angry and guilty, and even saying to Hudson, like, I feel so guilty for not intervening on some of your things that you were challenged by earlier, and that's on me. And having that conversation with him so he understands, like, oh, adults make mistakes too, and they take accountability for them.
I agree.
It's
Because we want our kids to take accountability.
for sure. But what if we're not? Then
Well, and we don't take it for granted. It's
Yeah.
not always being taught, I have to say.
It is, yeah.
And that's the harder and deeper conversation. It's not taking accountability is not always being taught.
And it's got to be so hard as teachers. I'm asking the two of you, when you're teaching in the classroom, but parents are not teaching at home. Like, how do you bridge that gap?
You work really hard.
Well, I think one of the things, like when parents, because they're there to protect their child.
Right.
They're trying their best.
Yes.
They are.
Yes.
So say their child hit another child. And so you call and you have that lovely conversation like, well, your child, we name all our students Charlie. So your Charlie, socked a child in the face. And instead of, well, there must have been a reason, and I'm sure my child didn't mean it.
Or they blame the other
They blame
child.
the other
For sure.
child. I'll say, you know what, this is a growing learning opportunity.
It's a teachable moment.
It's a teachable moment. It's so painful. And you're like, I know you didn't teach your child to respond this way, but this is being fully human. And let's figure out what happened. Let's unpack what went on, and let's use your word, repair, which I think is a great word, and then move forward. But when parents were like, well, there's no way my child would do that. It's like, oh, this is a learning opportunity. Let's embrace this.
So teaching them to take responsibility and giving them the words. And I will say to a 5-year-old, it's really important in this moment that you take responsibility for what you did. And guess what they can do? They can say that.
Yeah.
They can. What I have found when students can't find the words, I'll help give them the words, but I first have them sit with it for just a moment because I want them to reflect, because if they're in the heat of the moment, there's no way you can't.
No, they're not regulated.
We have them go to the cozy corner to sit in a chair. It's not because they're being punished. I'm actually helping them to de-escalate their feelings. Yeah. And then we can have a conversation.
Correct.
But sometimes kids are like, I have no idea what to say. They know that they did something that wasn't right.
Yeah.
Like, so let's think about how can we name it?
Right.
And then let's practice saying it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
you do have to break them down in little steps.
You do.
That's really good.
But I feel like sometimes parents don't fully understand that children will rise to the occasion. If they set the bar high, the children will rise to the occasion. So if you treat them like they don't know or they don't understand, that they're not going to learn. So,
oh gosh, no.
yeah, they know.
Ooh, they
know.
pick up so quick.
So it's just the best job.
Oh my goodness. Well, I feel like there's so much we could go into other side directions. Is there anything that is like, we need to cover this?
Oh, there's so much to talk about.
There's so much we could talk about. We could talk forever.
I know we could talk.
I do. I mean, you mentioned about your husband, Ryan, stepping in and while you were gone. How do you go from being the president and the board and fundraising to writing, producing, going on location? How do you, do you sleep?
Actually, yes, because sleep is one of the best tools for regulating your nervous system.
Okay.
So I protect my sleep with every ounce of my being. I mean, and my children know that too. Like, we have conversations about that. If I don't get a lot of sleep, they're like, oh man, this mama's going to be on a ride today. Like, because sleep is a big part of me making sure that I'm taking care of myself. And so I do sleep. Like, I go from the moment I get up. I don't think I sit down unless I am sitting down to write or sitting, this. I go from like the moment I get up to the bed. I just literally face plant into the bed. Being away, that was really challenging for me, especially after Bennett's heart surgeries. I mean, I had to go back to work to, 2 salaries. We have to have 2 salaries in our house. And also the whole family is under my health insurance.
Okay.
And so I had to go back to work, and being away was incredibly hard because I had an immense amount of PTSD. And I did not leave that child's side. I mean, I lived and breathed and learned in that first month of being at the hospital, the nurses the doctors would do the rounds with me. By the last couple weeks I was there, the nurse was like, you got this. And I was like, I sure do. You bet your butt I do. I'd be like, he had this many milligrams of this at this point in time. And this was his awesome. But the hypervigilant brain, again, you go through hard things as a child, your brain gets wired for hypervigilance. That hypervigilant brain was so useful having a child go through a health crisis. The thing I had to get a hold of is helping that brain to understand when I'm not in crisis.
Yes.
So it was a journey for me, because I remember there was a moment with Bennett, he was just born with this fighter, warrior spirit. He knew his assignment and he was ready for it. And you could see it even in his eyes today. There's so much he's got fire energy. And I remember there was a night, and he was getting out of the shower, and my PTSD, it was never not on. And I was literally putting his pajamas on and brushing his teeth instead of doing what I should be doing, which is making sure he knows how to put his PJs on and he knows how to brush his teeth, which is what I did with Hudson. And I froze and thought, what am I doing? I am literally just if there's a fire burning inside of him, I am just blowing it out daily by like taking away his independence and taking away his ability to understand that like he can do anything. And I went into some like really intense trauma therapy and went back into recovery.
Wow. Yeah.
I realized that I needed to really get myself together to raise this child. And while he had heart surgeries, he is also okay. And that little girl inside of me that's constantly going, be on the lookout.
Yeah.
We're not in crisis.
Right.
We're okay right now.
Yes.
Yeah,
And-
you know, that's
Yeah.
part of who
That you recognize it too, because going through that stay at the hospital and seeing that your 5-day-old go through surgery, it's hard to shake it. So good for you for
So hard.
recognizing it.
I did it for him because he deserves to be able to like be independent and one day go like this will be the first summer he's going to sleepaway camp.
wow.
It's a big step for
That's a
us.
really big
and
step.
it makes me so anxious. I just want to vomit. But he's ready and he's going to have the time of his life. So I think parenting, so much of it is just like doing the work on ourselves and modeling that and taking responsibility and taking accountability and being humble and waking up every day and being like, I may not know the answers, but I'm going to go and find them. I'm going to ask people that might know more than I do. And then I'm going to do the right thing in the world for my kids. And I'm going to do the right thing in my house for my kids by being an adult.
Yes.
beautifully said.
That's beautifully said. Oh, Nikki, you're so great. That's all I'm going to say. Should we lighten it up a little bit?
Yeah. Let's do
Okay,
like we like to have like a fun
Yes.
little speed round. So
Yes.
your first question is a parenting moment that made you feel proud.
Oh.
So many, I'm sure.
Every time my kid comes home from someone's house and I get a text from the parent saying, you have, you know, the sweetest, most well-mannered child, because they can fall apart in my house. But if they're going to other people's houses and they're saying, yes, please, no, thank you, and being kind and respectful to others, like that moment, it's, you know, that makes me so proud.
That's a wonderful, wonderful moment and proud moment. A lesson your children have taught you.
Oh, daily, 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 daily. They have really, I mean, my kids are so good at holding me accountable. And that is because we always tell the truth in our house. And we talk about all these things. And when I fail, I talk about how I failed. So they really hold me accountable, my boys. You know, I did not grow up in that house where like you were able to hold your parents accountable.
Right.
Like that was not allowed. And my parents really needed to be held accountable in a lot of ways.
Well, all parents do.
All parents do. And so I think the lessons that they have really taught me is like, you know, that's where that whole don't ask them to do something that we're not willing to do.
Yes.
Love that.
I think it's fabulous.
What's one word that describes your family?
I would say like it's like loving chaos.
Yeah.
like you just act like it's just so loving but so chaotic.
I want to be a fly on the wall. See this loving chaos around you. What is your go-to reset when you're feeling
Oh
overwhelmed?
yeah, love to know.
Move my body.
Move your
Okay.
body.
Move my body. For me, whether I dance parties, we have a lot of dance parties, work out, walk. I just move my body.
Body.
Such a great way to
Helps your
release
brain,
all
helps
sorts of
everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
emotions.
Yes.
You talked about great ideas for unplugging with your family. What's your favorite?
Right now, our favorite is playing Rummy Cube.
Fun.
Yeah. And by the way, they are all better at it than me.
That's amazing.
Even the 8-year-olds.
Yeah.
I know it's kind of a game of luck, but is it?
No,
because
no, there's strategy.
There's strategy.
There is strategy. And Hudson, with his brain, gosh, he's so smart. With his brain, the first time we were playing it with a group of adults, Hudson comes over to the table and he goes, well, if you just did that and did that and did that and did that, and then that's, you win. And I was like, how did you, what? It's pretty great when you beat your mom and you beat your dad. Like that's a
Yes.
confidence builder,
Yes,
you
it
know?
is.
So like Rummy Cube right now is our favorite.
Oh,
That's
good
so
for
good.
you.
Yeah.
Good for you.
So we like to have our big, I know we kind of wove our big little lessons in, but should we talk about our big little
Sure.
lessons?
What's your big little lesson, Kristine?
So many lessons here. But I really want to go back to there's no bad emotions because when I think about the Big Little Lesson, I like to think about the littlest ones and what we're doing to help the littlest ones. And I mean, you know, your intentional parenting across the board meets, you know, so many different important Big Little Lessons.
Thank you.
I think that's a really big one. Like, helping children understand their emotions, not being afraid to let them be in their emotions, naming their emotions, not trying to repair their emotions. You know, I had a therapist once say to me, working with my son, that when a child's like right brain is triggered and they're in a really high emotional state, the worst thing you can do is to try to fix it.
Ooh, yes.
So the best thing to do is just be there with your child.
Yes.
And then when they have the more logical part of their brain open again, then you talk about the repair.
I mean, how many times have you been in this situation with your husband,
Right.
a male, where they just immediately try to fix it?
Yes.
Immediately.
Right?
Always.
They immediately just try. And then when they can't, they experience shame. You experience emotional abandonment because they move away from you, all because they just can't sit with you inside your emotion and what you're going through. So like, again, long game, right?
Long game.
Yes.
What partners are we raising for other people in the world, and for them to pass on to their children is an important thing. Like, we are going to have bad feelings, and it's okay to sit with them and learn from them.
Yeah.
It's the point.
Well, for my Big Little Lesson, because being a parent, being a teacher, I love to care for people, and I do like to fix things. So I have to. I have to
You
learn
do,
from that.
Jenny.
But I think the important lesson I learned from you, Nikki, and a big reminder: you have to take care of yourself in order to be able to bring your best self to helping others. And when you are naturally a person who loves to help others, if you haven't taken care of yourself, if you're not regulated, if you're overtired, overworked, overspent, you're not going to be good to anybody.
Nope.
And so to take that. So thank you for that powerful lesson and reminder to me, because so often I'm just like, I got to keep going. I'm like, no, you don't.
These are the minutes and moments of your life, and every single one of them matters and it counts. I will reflect back to you, Big Little Lesson,
Yes, please.
going all the way back to, Hudson and even Bennett, Kristine. I'll say this for all the teachers that are listening and for parents that are listening whose teacher has pulled them aside to say, hey, something's going on that we might need to take a look at, right? And I know that not every teacher's not every teacher are the two of you,
you're so
like
kind.
angels on earth. But I think the majority of people who get into the space of teaching do it because they have such a love for kids. And when you pulled me aside in those moments when my kid, and both of them at some point, and said they're struggling and really need some help, and let's have a conversation around that, instead of being defensive and nothing's wrong with my kid, or it's somehow being a reflection of you as a parent. They're on their own little journey, and they're not like mini me's of you. It's not your life that they need to be living. It's their life that they need to be living. But you were so helpful to me and my family, of like just bringing my attention to something that I needed to see. And so that was a really big lesson of humility in that moment. And when people bring those things to you, like, take a moment, instead of getting defensive, maybe there is something here that I need to take a look at. And for both of my kids, there were, and they're thriving now because of it. So like, that was a really big lesson that I learned from you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
This is an example of a great partnership between parent and teacher.
Yes.
And isn't that, it's,
I mean, you spend half the day with my child.
yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, such a huge part of their lives, teachers are. And so like, when teachers come to you and like, sit down and listen to them, listen.
Well said, Nikki.
Well said.
Everybody
Thank you for the
listen. Well, we always like to offer some optional homework for listeners.
Love.
It's always optional.
Love.
What do we want to share, Jenny?
Well, let's pause.
Yes.
Let's regulate and respond with intention.
That's good.
I need to breathe and go move my body and respond with attention. And just notice a small shift in the home. You are the parent, or the roommate, or the manager, or whatever. You're creating the energy in the room.
In terms of the repair, you can pick something small, like if a conversation gets tense or if you notice your tone and yourself getting anxious, like sharper than you intended, or if it just like isn't going the way you thought, just circle back and say, hey, I want to try that again. It didn't come out the way I wanted it to come. So
and it's not your fault.
With your children, with people, with humanity. I mean, that's how we need to communicate with one another, right? So
all the time.
Yeah.
Yes. Let's do a redo.
Let's do a redo. Do you know how that would feel for anyone, for you to just return to them and say, you know what? Yesterday we had a conversation and I don't feel like I handled it appropriately. I feel like, can I just revisit that for a second? And number one, say, I'm sorry about that. Yeah. I dismissed you and your thoughts or whatever, and I didn't hear you and I didn't take it in. And I just want to say, I am sorry. And I'm going to sit with that information. Could you imagine?
Yeah. I mean, it's being a big girl.
It's adulting.
I liked how you said the next day, because I have done that repairing, but it's usually a few months, if not years, before.
You've shared with me some of the repairing you've done.
It's like, so I want to get better about the turnaround time, which is, maybe within a week.
Yeah. And the two things for that is humility.
Right. Right.
And giving grace to yourself. Again, you can't give something to somebody else that you can't give to yourself.
Yeah.
Like if you're unwilling to give grace to yourself, you are not going to be giving it in the world to other people. Yeah. So like 100%. You're practicing on yourself all day long, giving grace, compassion, empathy, understanding, self-awareness. And if you're practicing on yourself, you're going to be doing it in relationship with your littles, with your bigs, with your community, in the world. Humility first.
Humility first.
Yeah.
Oh, Nikki, thank you so much.
Love you guys so much.
Is your heart, your wisdom, and the advocacy you bring to families everywhere. I mean, the world is a better place because of you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
and you're helping us with some very tangible, small steps and looking bigger.
Right.
Building a community. So. And it really starts with the home and being a powerful leader and all the good things that you said. So thank you. I'm going to be listening to this one again and again.
Again and again.
Thank you, ladies.
So we like to say we might not have all the answers.
But we have a lot of experience.
You do.
Thank you for listening to Big Little Lessons.
Until next time.
Hey, Sal.
Hank, what's going on? We haven't worked a case in years.
I just bought my car at Carvana, and it was so easy. Too easy.
Think something's up?
You tell me. They got thousands of options. Found a great car at a great price. And it got delivered the next day.
It sounds like Carvana just makes it easy to buy your car, Hank.
Yeah, you're right. Case closed.
Buy your car today on
Carvana.
Delivery fees may apply.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.